Donald Trump has slapped India with an additional 25% in tariffs for doing business with Russia. It's Trump's way of punishing New Delhi for taking cheap oil from Russia, blaming India for financing Russia's war in Ukraine. This latest executive order signed by Trump takes India to the top of the list of the most tariffed nations, right next to Brazil, with a staggering 50%. The additional tariffs that Trump had not spelled out before Wednesday will come into effect at the end of 21 days. The immediate worry for India is already here, and that is 25%, and that comes into force from today, the 7th of August. India has called the tariffs unfair, unreasonable, and unjustified.
I think that this is the lowest point that US-India relations have experienced over the last 2 decades of strategic partnership.
These tariffs will hit India's exports and some industries more than others, like gems, jewellery, auto parts, pharmaceuticals, apparels and garments, shrimp and seafood. It's also true that the same executive order that wants to punish India has nothing on China, which actually buys a lot more Russian oil than India does. So if Trump is trying to show that this is indeed to punish those helping Russia, don't fall for that bogey. Then there is the question of America's own double standards. The US imports uranium, palladium, chemicals and fertilizers from Russia. Yes, Russia. But when Trump was asked about why he was singling out India when the US also imported products from Russia, Trump played the ignorance card. Watch for yourself.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
India says that the US imports Russian uranium, chemicals, fertilizers, while criticizing their energy imports. Your response to that, sir?
I don't know anything about it. I'd have to check, but we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, please.
The trade between the two nations was in the range of $130 billion last year. Even though it may be less than that of other countries like Mexico, these tariffs will hurt. Given that India's goods will attract more tariffs, it's not going to be a surprise if consumers move to products from other countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh that have a lower tariff on their products. The latest slap to India has come just days ahead of the expected visit of American officials to continue talking trade.
And I think that the main reason why the talks went downhill so suddenly was a miscalculation on both sides. I think that India really thought that the US side would be willing to accept India's red lines, which included not easing protections in sensitive sectors like agriculture, which has politically important constituency in terms of farmers. Whereas on the US side, I think there was a miscalculation, believing that India would be willing to make every concession that the US was looking for it to make, and the US was looking for India to make many concessions. But at the end of the day, they are close to the finish line. You could argue that you have the worst possible outcome coming out of these talks, and that India has been slapped with some of the highest tariffs that any country has been slapped with. But if they agree to come back and they're able to find some workarounds, then there might be an ability to reach a deal.
Let's also acknowledge some facts that may not be so palatable. India did make concessions as it started talking to the US. It was one of the first nations to begin trade talks. We thought it will make our path to the deal smoother. It's turned out to be quite the opposite. The US wants India to make a lot more concessions in agriculture, dairy. Now these are extremely sensitive domains and politically volatile hot buttons. No one is suggesting a knee-jerk reaction, but India needs to push hard on diversifying its trade, push for more free trade agreements, find new partners, reliable ones. Brazil has also been slapped with a 50% tariff. President Lula of Brazil has decided he's not even going to bother talking to Trump, saying he won't humiliate himself. India has to decide how it wants to respond. Donald Trump's tariff deals are not about fairness. They never were. It's now up to us to make the best of the hand we have been dealt with, protecting our own national interests first. For more such stories, subscribe to SNG News, hit the like button and follow for more news updates.